As most of you know, my father was a practicing dentist in St. Louis, where I'm born and raised. Just being in his operatory, I felt like I was just born to be in dentistry, and I didn't even realize it at that age. So looking back, my plan was never to work in his office. The very end of 2019, I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit that I wanted to create something, and my dad always was supportive of that spirit inside of me. My goal with starting the company was I want to make it different for my dad, and I want to make it different for office managers, that they had to struggle with the same things I had to struggle while working with my father. So I was thinking, I want to start a company.
Welcome to the Wisdom Dental Podcast, a new era of dentistry, where we peel back the layers of a running modern dental practice. From real-world stories to smart solutions, we're here to help you build a thriving business and deliver care with confidence. Let's get started.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of a new era of dentistry. I am Ashley Bond. So happy to be here with you all. I would love to get a little personal today, not just professional, but a little more background into just how wisdom got started, real stories from my dad's practice, and hopefully you can walk away just with a tip or two that can help you. And at the very least, know that you are not alone. We have been there. We have been in your shoes, whether you're a dentist, office manager, front office team member, or a clinical team member. We understand. So hoping you can walk away with some laughs and maybe a few tips as well. So just another intro that I'm Ashley Bond. So I'm co-founder, chief dental billing officer here at Wisdom. At Wisdom, we do everything from insurance verification and full breakdowns to your insurance billing with claim submission, posting of accurate payments, making sure the adjustments are correct and not just being over adjusted. We're doing your appeals, your denials, your insurance aging, which a lot of times slips through the cracks because it's so hard these days to get it done. And then of course, patient billing, sending out your statements, your letters, your phone calls to overdue patient balances. We do it all. Whether you pick and choose one, two, all three, we are here to help offices thrive and hopefully give them something that I was not able to give my father at the time. But I wanted to take it all the way back to the beginning. So what it was like growing up in my father's practice. So just starting there. So as most of you know, my father was a practicing dentist in St. Louis, where I'm born and raised. I left for one semester, 30 minutes away, and I only lasted a semester. So I'm born and raised in St. Louis. I love it here. This is where I've always lived. So my father had a practice here in a suburb in St. Louis County, and I grew up in his practice. I remember being really little, and he had always a stuffed animal that he would give away for children. So any kid that came in, they would write their name on a piece of paper and put it into our bowl. And then we would pick a winner. Every child has the opportunity to win this huge stuffed animal. And so I would, a lot of the times, just be waiting at his office or having to kill time because I am the fourth child. I have three older sisters. So I'm the baby, which meant I had to be very go with the flow because there's always something going on in our house. And so sometimes I had to just sit and wait at my dad's practice until he got off of work. Because another thing is my elementary school was about 2 minutes away from my dad's practice. So he would drop me off in the morning at elementary school. And then sometimes I would just get a ride back and wait at his office till he was done with work. So I had a lot of time to kill. And with those stuffed animals, every time I would write in my name to win, and I would put in 10 of my name to win the stuffed animal. And unfortunately, I could never win that. So I tried my hardest, but never got the stuffed animals that I wanted. But it was just fun. It was fun growing up in the practice. Just being in his operatory, I felt like I was just born to be in dentistry, and I didn't even realize it at that age. So looking back, my plan was never to work in his office. Definitely not on my agenda. I thought I was going to go to school to be a teacher. So that was I thought a lot of things I was going to do, but a teacher was something I thought I was going to do. I started working my dad's practice. It was right when I got into college. He was still paying for my car insurance. So that was fun. We all know how that is until you're 26. You can still be on their insurance, and maybe they pay for your cell phone and your car insurance. Very privileged. But I did not think that I would ever have a future in dentistry. So what turned out was when I was in college, wasn't the best student. School was really easy for me, but showing up to classes wasn't. So I was not doing well in college because I guess you have have to show up to your classes to make good grades. So my father, I had a nanny job, and that was like 1 day a week. And my father was just like, you got to get a job, and I'm paying for some of your bills. You're going to work. And it happened that he had an office manager that ended up quitting on him. So he basically didn't give me a choice, said, you're going to come in here. You're going to work for me. Had no options. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to work for you. And at that time, I had no idea what I was doing. While I had grown up in his practice trying to win the stuffed animal, I had not grown up understanding at all the language. My sisters had worked in his practice. So 2 of my 3 older sisters worked in his practice. The sister right above me, Lauren, worked at his practice as like pulling the charts and like purging charts, then became a hygienist. And then Allison, who's right above Lauren, she worked in his practice at the front office, became an office manager, ended up moving to Colorado and worked for a large practice in Colorado as an office manager. So we have it definitely in our bones to work in dentistry. I did not think that was going to be my avenue, but turned out he had an opening. I needed a job. So it fell into place. I had no idea what I was doing. So I say this a lot. Many mistakes were made, but those mistakes, the one thing I do have is, I will say, integrity, honesty. If I'm going to do something, I'm very competitive. So I'm going to be the best at it, or the best to my ability. And hard work was always ingrained in us from a very young age. I think watching my dad work so hard for his practice, we just knew that you have to work extremely hard for what you want. So started in his practice and made a lot of silly mistakes now that I look back on it. I remember taking one of my first phone calls I took, and I was so excited because I scheduled a crown. Granted, they called up me to schedule. It's not like I was calling on the unscheduled treatment. They called me, and I just had to get the appointment scheduled. Feeling so good though, and got the person's appointment on. I'm like, okay, you want to come in a few days at 2:00 for your crown? Got it. Hung up the phone. And back then, we didn't have caller ID. So I hung up the phone. I didn't get their name, nothing about them. All I knew is that they were a woman. So then I'm like, man, don't have caller ID. I can't just go look up the number, call them back. So I had to put a block on the schedule and just block it off that somebody was coming in for a crown. I have no idea who, but somebody was coming in. I would like to say that was the only time I did that, but unfortunately, I would give my dad a lot of surprises in the beginning of, oopsie, I scheduled an appointment and forgot to put them on the appointment book. Highly suggest you don't do that. But part of learning for me was like making a lot of those early mistakes, especially when it comes to insurance. So one of my first things I got introduced was calling on outstanding insurance claims. Once I started doing outstanding insurance claims, it became like a game. It was so much fun for me, just so that you could see where a report would start, and say there was, 10 pages on your over 30 report, and getting it down to that single page. Oh, there's nothing better than that feeling. And I know if you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. Getting your report down to 1 page was such a beautiful accomplishment. So I think plugging myself into that, making it a competition, made me realize how much fun this work could be. I still at this time, so in my early 20s, when I started working in my father's practice, still at this time, I don't think I ever imagined that dentistry was going to be my future. I thought it was kind of an in-between. And then in 2015, I was about to have my second daughter. And at that time, I decided I'm going to try this stay-at-home mom thing. And my husband and I were like, you know what, I'm going to retire. So I thought, from my father's practice. And we went, I remember, left on a Thursday. And then that weekend, we are going to Herman, Missouri to go on a little baby moon. So I put in my retirement. Somebody I had was already trained to take over everything I did. We went on our baby moon in Herman, Missouri, which you guys it is such a cute little town, but there's nothing to do, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Nothing, just sleep. And I thought that was going to be it for dentistry. Then I found out the week, I believe it was that Monday, the person I trained put in their notice that they were quitting. And that snowballed for the next, oh my goodness, 4 or 5 years of turnover, especially with the front office position. And I know a lot of you guys have dealt with turnover. It is rough. It's rough on a practice. It is hard on your patients. It is hard on the team members. It is hard on your systems, because when you have multiple hands in the pot and there's not the consistency, it does lead to profit loss. It leads to losing your patient's trust. So we went through, we had to have gone over in 5 years through 10 people. And that's me just guessing without putting a lot of thought into it. So what would happen is we'd have someone leave the office. I would go back in, clean up the systems, train the new person, help hire the new person. And we get them in, up and running. And it felt like right when everything was going smooth and I exited, it would happen again. So it was this constant, like, fix it, here you go. Right when I leave, it's coming back in. And I laugh that it's, working for a family business. It's like working for the mafia. You really never leave. So I felt just a lot of responsibility, a lot of loyalty, of course, to my father's practice. And I didn't want to see it suffer. So lots of in and out until the very end of 2019. I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit that I wanted to create something. And my dad always was supportive of that spirit inside of me. So I was thinking, I'm going to start a company. I want to start a company, because the stay-at-home mom thing was great, but my brain needs a goal. It needs something to accomplish. And something a little more tangible. I was driving myself and my husband and my family crazy. So why not start a company? So at the very end of 2019, I had at this time my fourth child. So I had my fourth child April of 2019 and officially started a remote billing company December of that year. So he was still just a little baby. He really, my youngest, that boy grew up really with the company that you see today. So it is really cool to see. He started kindergarten this year, and now look at where wisdom has come. So it is really a cool full circle moment. But I started on the couch with baby in tow, and the struggles that I saw my dad go through, and just knowing I didn't want to see other offices go through this. So my father went through the last decade of his career was really, really hard. So it ended up, my sister and I both ended up leaving his practice. He dealt with a lot of turnover. He had dealt with 2 embezzlement scares throughout his career prior to us, or one prior to us coming on and one after I had left, and just left him really unsettled. Not only that, the insurance burden gets worse every single year, and it still is getting worse every single year. Reimbursement rates were low. And so he really wanted to be that independent practice that spent time with his patients, that wasn't rushing in and out of the chair and barely keeping up, because he's in network with every single company and he's just trying to make it by. He wanted to be different, but insurance made it so difficult, and finding a good team made it so difficult. And the hurdles you have to go through just to get paid by insurance, it is near impossible back then. And now it's even harder. So my goal with starting the company was I want to make it different for my dad. And I want to make it different for office managers, that they had to struggle with the same things I had to struggle while working with my father. Because not only was I doing all the billing, but I was also trying to grow his practice and do the marketing and get more new patients, focus on retention. It is almost impossible. I would be even brave enough to say it's impossible to have one person who's managing, focusing on the growth and focusing on the day-to-day billing operations. It is not an easy thing to do one of those, let alone both at the same time, all while creating really strong relationships with patients, because relationships, that's how you build trust. We weren't just another provider. We knew our patients. We knew about their family vacations. We knew about their struggles. We knew about, surgeries that they were going through. We sent them cards in the mail if something, devastating happened. We cared about our patients. They brought us food, shared their cultures with us. This was really a family practice. And in order to keep that, the front office team, they struggled with just balancing it all. And then insurance, my father being in network with one insurance company made it really difficult. Whether you're in or out of network, the denials are still there. The amount of work to post the payments, even on Mondays, I would have to block out everything to post the payments and hope that I matched at the end of the day, because there's nothing worse than staying late because you're off by a penny and you had to find that penny. But then you had to find time. Okay, now I had to call on the insurance agent claims. I had to wait on hold. Usually I had to follow up, not one, not twice, sometimes 3 times to get it paid. And I had to fight for payment. So my dad he's losing money. We aren't able to focus on helping him grow. And it really bled over into his personal life. Family vacations weren't the same. He didn't sleep for the last decade of his life, never slept. On every weekend, he was always woken up that employee was going to call in and say that they can't make it, or my assistant might not be there, or what if a hygienist calls out, or what if a hygienist goes on maternity leave? Like, how am I going to keep my practice running? What if someone's sick? What if there's a snow day? What if my first big appointment that I need to hit our goals cancels last minute? Like, constantly, every single day. If you work in an office, this is every day. And a lot of times, like, it was a struggle to keep our collections where they needed to be in order to run the practice, especially if you have a doctor who has an independent practice. Overhead costs, staff wages, costs of materials, the overhead is insane for a dental practice. Then you include debt for the schooling, debt for purchasing the practice. The stress that dentists are under, I honestly, unless I saw it from firsthand perspective of my father, I would never believe it. You would think, oh, dentists, they have it made good. It is a struggle. And so that is why I wanted to create what Wisdom is, because I was tired of seeing dentists like my dad struggle. I was tired of seeing teens struggle. I know there's a better way. And I know if you just have systems, consistency, and accuracy and integrity behind everything you do, it doesn't have to be so hard. Dental billing doesn't have to be so hard. We are here to help. So that's why we created Wisdom. And I'm just excited. I'm excited to see where we're at, where, dental billing used to be very manual. It's such a manual process. Dentistry is extremely outdated. But even in the last year, we are seeing the tide turn when it comes to technology and more people embracing it. And I clocked this years ago as building up the company. I just knew, hey, this is such a manual process. We need to bring technology in. We need to bring AI in. What I know is the difference between us and maybe other companies is we don't believe this is an AI technology only company. To do dental billing correctly, you have to have a dental billing expert in the loop, because yes, AI is amazing and it can cut down administrative time by so much, but it is not a dental billing expert. There are so many and if then statements when it comes to insurance, when it comes to reading an EOB. Some are meant to trick you, that you have to have experience in a dental office to know exactly what to look for. And that's why we pair our offices with human dental billing experts stateside that have worked inside a dental practice, so that your T's will be checked off, your dots, your I's will be dotted, whatever that saying is. You know what I mean? But that really was important to me. So yes, we need to bring in technology because it is so manual, but we need to bring it in correctly. We need to have the dental billing experts that are leading the way with how we need this technology to work for our company, and then we need them in the loop. So you can trust that when you're working with Wisdom, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting technology, you're getting the experts, and we truly are here to have the best product for our dental offices. I want, as if this was my family's practice, I want all of our practice owners to sleep better at night, to have more margin in their life. One of my first clients used to stay up in the office until 9-10 o'clock every single night because she was trying to understand the numbers, trying to send the claims, post the payments. We are still very good friends to this day, but being able to help her with that as one of my first clients, like, that is why we do this, where she could actually have margin, go back to her home, have dinner with family, where your office doesn't take over your entire identity. That's what I saw happen to my father. And I really want to see more dentists be able to keep what they're doing, because I don't want to lose our independent dentists. It is so important in today's day and age for there to be the choice if you want to stay independent or not. So that's why we do what we do, to hopefully take the stress off your team, the stress off the doctors, and just give you peace of mind that you have a partner who cares as deeply as you do about your office, because I am a control freak. It is so hard to give up control, especially when you're like really type A and have a system. That's why I say, try us out. There's no long-term commitment. And I did that on purpose. My father is very like, what's the numbers? ROI is a thing because overhead is so costly. How much dentists are having to pay already, that there has to be return on investment for any product that they bring on, or any system, any technology they bring on. And the great news is every office we've worked with, and there's been hundreds and hundreds around the nation, insurance collections have increased. That is something I'm really proud of, because it's not just about paying someone to take off time off my team. It's actually, we're getting paid, and we're getting paid more than we would have at the end of the day. And it's allowing my team to focus on things that really matter in the practice, which are patient relationships, making sure that you're growing, focusing on production, not having to focus on, did we collect what we've already produced? That is my hope, that we can bring to more and more offices this year as we come into 2026. So hope you enjoyed just hearing a little bit more of just our background, how we got started, where we are today. Now, the really fun thing is I get to talk about best billing practices and dental billing to study clubs and conferences all over, and just hoping to share the news on, hey, I know it's hard, but it doesn't have to be this way, and you don't have to go through it alone. So if you're feeling like you're alone, if you're feeling like it's really hard, just reach out to us. No pressure. There is never any pressure for you to have to sign up for our services, but just reach out and see if we would be a good fit for you, or at least get to air out the frustrations that you're currently dealing with at your office, or even get a gut check. Hey, this is what I'm seeing, or this is what I'm feeling. Is this how it's supposed to be? Is this how my office is supposed to run? And just know we have a team here that cares about you, and that no matter what, whether you work with Wisdom or don't work with Wisdom, I want to see our dentists, our office managers, our team members thrive in this new year. And I think a lot of that is just knowing you're not alone and that we are in this together. So just know we're always here. If you ever need anything, please go to our website. It's www.withwisdom.com/resources. That has so many tips and tricks about, webinars we've done, cheat sheets, ebooks. We really want to flood the industry with as much free content as we can, so that you can take it back to your office and hopefully start implementing it today. And if you want to learn more about Wisdom, again, go to our website. There is a get in touch button. It's withwisdom.com. That's withwisdom.com. The very top of the home screen, you are going to see a get in touch button at the upper right hand side. You click on that and you can directly schedule a time with us right away, or fill out a form so that we can get in touch and learn more. We'd love to hear from you, and it was so great talking to you. I'll see you at the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to a new era of dentistry. If today's episode sparked an idea or solved a pain point, we'd love for you to subscribe and share it with your team. At Wisdom, we're here to help you simplify, streamline, and succeed. Because let's face it, your patients deserve your focus, not your paperwork. Until next time, keep innovating, keep caring, and most importantly, stay smiling.